Headlines for this hour on VTV News. Vietnam marks 70th anniversary of Dien Bien Phu victory. And Vietnam ensures social development for people's benefits. In our war news, Putin takes Russian presidential oath.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Hello, it's 8 a.m. local time in Hanoi and you're watching VTV News. The strategic battles of Dien Bien Phu from March 13 to May 7, 1954 marked the victorious end of the resistance war against French colonialism. This glorious victory was a significant turning point in Vietnam history, demonstrating the triumph of the people's war strategies and the great unity and resilience of the entire nation. The 70th anniversary of Dien Bien Phu victory is an occasion for every Vietnamese person to show pride in the party leadership, the great President Ho Chi Minh, the heroic Vietnamese People's Army, and the will of the Vietnamese people.
The situation on the battlefield is worsening. There are many wounded, but we can only save a few dozen. We are trying our best. We'll continue to fight and never give up.
Though it is your call, please do not surrender.
This is the final telephone conversation between General de Castries and the French military commander in North Vietnam, General Coligny, on the evening of May the 7th, 1954. Shortly after the hurried telephone conversation, the Viet Minh arrived at de Castries' bunker, and more white flags appeared at Mường Thanh. France was stunned by the news of the fall of Dien Bien Phu. From late 1953, the French army had occupied Dien Bien Phu, pining their final hopes on the strategic and decisive battle. However, the result was nothing like what they had hoped. The Dien Bien Phu victory 69 years ago marked the end of France's presence in Indochina. While the global landscape has shifted since then, peace and independence were only achieved in the north following the Geneva Accords. The events that unfolded over 56 days and nights in Dien Bien Phu made it a symbol of Vietnam's resilience.
The solemn parade and processions commemorating the historic 70th anniversary of Dien Bien Phu victory took place on the morning of May 7, 2024 in Dien Bien Phu City, Dien Bien Province. Leaders and former leaders of the party, state, the Vietnam Fatherland Front, Central Committee, ministries and sectors attended the event. Delegation from provinces and cities, including approximately 900 delegates from Dien Bien Province, also took part in the ceremony. The event also saw the participation of 270 international delegates and foreign journalists. The program began with 21 salvos of cannons against the backdrop of national anthem. This was followed by performances from 9 helicopters carrying the party flag and the national flag flying over the grandstand. There was also a military parade and the processions of civil forces. The parade and procession were the highlights of the ceremony commemorating the 70th anniversary of Dien Bien Phu victory. The event aimed to honor the forces and affirm the significant visions and great historical values of Dien Bien Phu victory. The commemoration ceremony, parade and procession marking the 70th anniversary of Dien Bien Phu victory took place on the morning of May 7, and this is the most notable event of the series of activities commemorating the 70th anniversary of Dien Bien Phu victory. Not only the ethnic people of Dien Bien Province, but Vietnamese people from all over the country swelled with pride as they watched the commemorative event unfold on this historical land.
Despite heavy rain, many people gathered early in the morning at the Dien Bien Phu Victory Monument to witness this historically significant national commemoration day. People lined up along the historical Mường Thanh Bridge. The atmosphere was bubbling with excitement as the military parade and a procession occurred.
As we live in here, we arrived very early to wait for the parade. Despite the rain, we are still in good spirits. We feel proud and lucky to be Dien Bien natives.
In the highland district of Mueang Ang, over 3,000 watched the circle dance performance of the Thai ethnic people. This was a reenactment of how the compatriots and soldiers joyfully celebrated victory 70 years ago. Meanwhile, at the Dien Bien Stadium, the center of the ceremony, people from all over the country united in emotion as they watched the heroic steps of the parade.
I am so proud to be at the ceremony today. The parade was majestic. It truly showcased the powerful Vietnamese spirit.
Special morning classes at many schools in Phu Thot province were conducted. Even through the TV screen, students could feel the heroic atmosphere of the historic Dien Bien Phu campaign. Former soldiers from Binh Thuận felt as if they were reliving memories of their youth.
We continue to promote the veterans' traditions through this event, contributing to the protection of the country's independence, sovereignty, territorial integrity, and the locality's social order.
Pride, love, beauty are the keywords flooding our social media platforms. Young people who were born in the times of peace even wrote poems. The historic victory still resonates in their thoughts and hearts. Dien Bien Phu, Vietnam, the fatherland. These are things that cannot be fully conveyed in words, but they connect millions of Vietnamese hearts, yesterday, today, and forever.
A special music show was held by the Ministry of Culture, Sport and Tourism in Dien Bien Phu City, the northwestern province of Dien Bien, on May 6 to celebrate the 70th anniversary of Dien Bien Phu victory, May 7, 1954. The Prime Minister and other party and state leaders attended the event. The music program aimed to connect the past, the present, and the future, and recall a period when all people followed the party's appeal to contribute to the fight and therefore help the audience further understand the significance of the victory that resounded across the 5 continents and shook the globe. The event concluded with a firework display lighting up the night sky of Dien Bien Phu City. A grand meeting was held in Vientiane Lounge on Tuesday to mark the 70th anniversary of Dien Bien Phu victory in Vietnam, May 7, 1954. This was one of the activities of the Lao People Revolutionary Party, state, and army to celebrate the historic victory that forced France to sign the 1954 Geneva Agreement, ending the war in the whole Indochina and recognizing the independence, unity, and territorial integrity of Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia. Recalling the enduring war of the Vietnamese people as well as their 56-day ferocious battles against the French enemy. Vice President of Laos, Pani Athutu, affirmed that the Dien Bien Phu victory is a manifestation for not only Vietnam's solidarity, strength, and aspiration for peace and independence, but also the courage and growth of its armed forces. Vietnam continues to be an attractive destination for foreign investors this year. Ho Chi Minh City has led the country in the first 4 months of the year in attracting FDI, with 420 new projects with a total investment capital of more than $200 million. In particular, there are 652 foreign investors contributing capital through share acquisitions, with a total capital contributions of about $713 million. And thanks to a special mechanism, the city has achieved this result.
After many years of operation in Ho Chi Minh City, this Japanese software development and testing enterprise has invested in a new facility. Thanks to Resolution number 98, they can scale up.
Resolution number 98 helps facilitate the expansion of startups by providing infrastructure and support for experts.
This telecommunications software research enterprise also intends to expand investment in Ho Chi Minh City. They expect that Resolution number 98 will allow controlled testing of new solutions within the Quang Trung Software Campus.
We hope that Resolution 98 with the sandbox model will help businesses like us. After doing research, we will be able to test in Vietnam instead of going abroad to test due to new unlicensed technologies.
Ho Chi Minh City has a policy to attract strategic investors. Taking advantage of Resolution number 98, Ho Chi Minh City will give a 150% incentive for research and development costs as a tax deduction and prioritize customs and tax procedures for import and export goods.
Policies for strategic investors in priority fields include tax benefit policies as well as a number of other support policies. Resolution 98 empowers Ho Chi Minh City to have certain specific mechanisms. It will improve the investment environment and increase the attractiveness for foreign investors.
Ho Chi Minh City currently leads the country in the number of projects and a valid foreign investment capital, with 12,520 projects and registered capital of $57.64 billion. With many outstanding policy mechanisms, the city will take advantage of the opportunity to receive investment from many countries around the world.
The Prime Minister has just issued Directive number 14 on implementing the tasks of operating monetary policies in 2024. Subsequently, the Ministry of Planning and Investment has directed the Small and Medium Enterprise Development Fund to promote lending activities at a preferential interest rate. More on the following story.
The 4,300-meter square factory area of this company has been built with preferential loans from the Small and Medium Enterprise Development Fund. The interest rate is only half that of commercial banks, providing good conditions for businesses.
Thanks to this loan, we saved more than $102,000 in interest. It is very meaningful to us because our production profits are very small.
The lending interest rate of the SME Development Fund is currently 1.2% per year for short-term loans and 4.4% per year for medium and long-term loans. Decree number 45 amending and supplementing the organization and operation of the SME Development Fund with many innovations was approved at the end of April. The fund will now add capital financing activities of up to nearly $40,000 for each business.
The fund is allowed to provide cash grants to businesses. Decree 45 stipulates that each business is considered eligible for funding no more than once.
The fund's capital can be increased up to $78.8 million. And it is anticipated that a large number of small and medium-sized businesses across the country can be supported.
Use this fund effectively, international and domestic resources can be entrusted to the fund. There are other channels of financing available today to promote green growth and innovation. They have many great incentives for lending.
This year, the fund will complete the legal framework to deploy direct lending and support, instead of indirect support through commercial banks. Small and medium-sized enterprises currently account for nearly 97% of the total number of businesses operating nationwide.
Coming up next on VTV News, Vietnam ensures social development for people's benefit. And Khánh Hòa struggles to maintain water supply against saline intrusion. The dialogue on the Vietnamese National Report on Human Rights Protections and Promotion had captured great international attention alongside nearly 140 countries that have registered to make statements and raise questions. Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs Dien Việt led a Vietnamese delegation on May 7th to a dialogue on the Vietnamese National Report on Human Rights Protections and Promotion under the UN Human Rights Council's fourth cycles of the Universal Periodic Review mechanisms. The delegation delivered a comprehensive overview of Vietnam's human rights progress since the previous UPR review. It included updates on relevant policies, legal framework, socio-economic development, and the current human rights situations in the country. After the dialogue, the UN Human Rights Council Working Group will meet this Friday to consider and approve the report on the result of the United Nations Human Rights Council's Universal Periodic Mechanism for Vietnam. Vietnam has taken significant strides in promoting social progress and equality, demonstrated in the country's human development achievements, and these achievements have been recognized by international organizations and experts. The achievements once again affirmed Vietnam's effort to ensure human rights and build a society where development truly serves the people.
According to the latest Global Human Development Report, Vietnam is in the high human development group of nations. Vietnam's Human Development Index is 0.726, ranking 107 out of 193 countries and territories, up 8 places from the 115th position the previous year.
We expect Vietnam's ranking to increase primarily because during the pandemic, Vietnam still managed to record a positive rate of economic growth and had a very, very good 2022. And that will lift the rankings. In terms of the other indicators which relate to educational attainment and life expectancy, we also expect those indicators in Vietnam to continue to improve. So I would imagine that Vietnam's ranking in this year's Human Development Index will rise.
Development for the people's benefits, ensuring human rights, is Vietnam's consistent principle. In recent years, Vietnam has implemented a comprehensive approach to best ensure human rights. These efforts in the context of climate change, all while promoting gender equality and empowering women, have been highly appreciated internationally. In April this year, Vietnam was elected to the Executive Board of the United Nations Entity for Gender Equality and the Empowerment of Women for the term 2025 to 2027.
Vietnam recently introduced the Domestic Violence Prevention and Control Law, and this really is quite a step forward. It does a lot of new things, stipulates that reconciliation is not a substitute for justice, and for the first time it also applies to divorced people and unmarried individuals.
We have to take into account that Vietnam at the same time has already been at the front line of the fight against climate change. Vietnam was one of the first countries which endorsed and ratified the Paris Agreement. Vietnam was one of the first countries which announced the net zero by 2050, and Vietnam is also the third country which signed the JETP project on the Just Energy Transition project. So Vietnam clearly wants to develop a clear policy to try to address this issue.
The international recognition of Vietnam's achievements in human rights and human development affirms the correct leadership of the party and the state. It also demonstrates the progress of realizing Party General Secretary's message in the article commemorating the 94th anniversary of the establishment of the Communist Party of Vietnam. We cannot wait until the economy reaches a high level of development to implement social progress and equality.
Saline intrusion continues in the downstream river areas in the south-central regions and looks like persisting in the coming months as the dry season here extended until the end of August. The biggest concern for people in this area is the serious impact of domestic water sources of saline intrusions. Consequently, localities have proactively examined coping measures to provide people with access to water for daily use.
In recent days, the water flow from upstream to the Cái River in Nha Trang has been at 23 cubic meters per second. Meanwhile, the water extraction capacity of the local water plant is 1.7 cubic meters per second. There should be enough water for daily use, but the water supply is threatened by a saline intrusion.
If the water flow is lower than the extraction capacity, there will be adaptation measures such as stopping other activities to prioritize domestic water supply.
In the past 4 months, the average water level on this river has been lower than the average for many years in the same period. Salinity has penetrated upstream about 8 kilometers from the sea mouth.
El Nino is still active, with little rainfall and prolonged heat, so there may be no late-season rains this year. It is necessary to use water wisely and to store some in case of prolonged heat.
This is a salt barrier dam on the Gai River. This project was implemented in 2018 with a total investment of nearly $30 million. Dealing with salination requires flexible solutions in water regulation. This system continuously updates the quality of water sources, especially salinity levels. Based on the data, the locality can supply water for water treatment plants and also provide water for domestic use.
Color plays a vital role in sparking creative inspiration in art and revitalizing spaces. While numerous coffee shops opt for romantic or soft color schemes, nested in the heart of Long Xuan City, Anjiang Province, is a coffee shop boasting a distinctive black design style. This concept was conceived by Dang Chung-hyo, a young individual driven by a passion for creativity, who courageously ventured beyond his comfort zone to pioneer this truly unique aesthetic.
Drinking coffee in the coffee shop feels akin to being transported to a chic movie set, exuding a bold and captivating style. Experience this distinct ambience in our one-of-a-kind coffee shop space.
Black possesses formidable strength as a color. Amidst the charm of pink, purple, blue, and other vibrant hues, black tones carve out a distinct realm within the shop space.
The idea from conception to realization, spanning approximately a month, came as a surprise to many. This man ingeniously transforms seemingly ordinary objects into intricate miniatures, crafting unique impressions.
Crafted from stones, dried and artificial plants, and plaster, undoubtedly stands out as the focal point of our cafe.
Due to the bold decision to embrace a predominantly black decor, this coffee shop has garnered affection from numerous young individuals.
This marks my inaugural visit to the cafe, and I must say, I'm enthralled by its cool, distinct, and relaxed ambience.
I find the sleek black aesthetic to be both cool and sophisticated.
The new and mysterious black style offers exceptionally cool and alluring photography angles, serving as a distinct creative haven for young individuals.
Coming up next in our world news, Putin takes Russian presidential oath. And 200th anniversary of Beethoven's 9 symphonies being marked in Berlin. Russian President Vladimir Putin has taken the oath of office at the ceremony at the Kremlin in Moscow on Tuesday, after securing his 5th term in the highest office with a record 87.28% of the vote in March. President Putin will continue to lead Russia for the next 6 years until 2030. The ceremony was attended by about 2,500 guests, including the heads of all foreign diplomatic missions in Moscow. Sworn in as president for the 5th term, President Putin vowed to protect the integrity of the national territory and be loyal to the people. According to Russian media, the State Duma may approve the candidacy of the new Russian Prime Minister on May 10th, and the new cabinet compositions will be approved next week. Israeli tanks entered the city of Rafah in the Gaza Strip on Tuesday, closing the border area with Egypt. The escalation in Israel's military campaign took place right at the time when Hamas forces announced they had accepted the ceasefire proposals mediated by Qatar and Egypt. Rafah is currently home to about 1.5 million Palestinians. This has been designated by the Israeli military as a safe zone for Palestinians since the conflict broke down in the Gaza Strip on October 7 last year. However, the Israeli Prime Minister described the military operation in Rafah as a necessary step to continue to put pressure on Hamas forces. According to the Israeli Prime Minister, the ceasefire proposal brokered by Qatar and Egypt was accepted by Hamas forces, but still did not meet Israel's main demand. During China's President Xi Jinping's official visit to France, the two countries signed 18 interdisciplinary cooperation agreements, including aviation, agriculture, green development, and small and medium-sized enterprise cooperation and other fields. China's President Xi Jinping and French President Emmanuel Macron also issued a joint statement on Tuesday, affirming their efforts to exploit the potentials for mutual beneficial cooperation. In addition, the leaders of the two countries agreed to build a major consensus on global cooperation in areas such as climate response, biodiversity, and reform of the international financial system. Regarding international issues, the two leaders called on all parties to make efforts to achieve an immediate, comprehensive ceasefire in Gaza, as well as support peace negotiation in Ukraine. At the same time, the two leaders reaffirmed their commitment to promoting a political solution to the Iranian nuclear issues. Ludwig van Beethoven's Ninth Symphony marked its 200th anniversary on Tuesday, since its world premiere on the 7th of May 1824 at the Theater am Katnor in Vienna. To celebrate, Berlin State Library is now displaying the original score, annotated by Beethoven himself, complete with traces of the composition process. More on the following story.
Since its premiere, the Ninth Symphony and its famous finale in fourth movement, the Ode to Joy, have resounded across the world to mark special occasions. It is the anthem of Europe, was performed after the fall of the Berlin Wall, and is often heard at peace protests. The original Beethoven manuscripts like these are rarely exhibited in public.
This is the score of Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, which is now celebrating its 200th anniversary. Handwritten on paper by Beethoven, as you can see, not written in one go, but corrected several times, edited, crossed out in various versions, erased, rewritten, until this score finally came about.
One of the library books is the complete score of the Ninth Symphony, and then there are several smaller booklets, so-called fascicles, in which certain smaller sections of the score are summarized along with Beethoven's notes.
They are not exhibited very often because they are Beethoven's own writings. They are only shown every few years on special occasions, either here in our house or in the context of exhibitions on request that they are then actually shown in other places, but usually at intervals of several years.
Ludwig van Beethoven, born in Bonn, died in 1827 in Vienna, the city where his Ninth Symphony premiered, and a focal point of his life.
And now let's continue with the weather forecast. That's it for this hour on VTV News. To rewatch a program, you can log on to VTVgo.vn or download a mobile application VTVgo. Thanks for watching and goodbye for now.